What's up guys, it's David with Gnu Gang, and in today's video we're going to be showing you how to mount up a Permatrim to your outboard motor. And Permatrim is a device that just mounts onto the cavitation plate of your motor. Gives you a little bit more grip on turning, allows you to run a little bit shallower because it pushes that water back down into your prop, giving you nice clean water, and it's just an overall great device. And now most of the time you can bolt these on, and it does come with bolts out of the box. It comes with stainless steel hardware, but if you have a clean Yamaha and you really don't want to drill any holes into your lower unit, I'm going to show you a method that I have found that works, and I'm going to show you how to do it. What you're going to want to do is just follow the instructions on getting this on here. You want to make sure the gap right here is about the same gap as on this side. And then you want to make sure there is a gap that is off the shoe piece right here, just back a little bit. So let me just show you real quick. So you can see this is what they call the shoe of your lower unit. If you push this forward too much, it rides up on it, and then this won't be pushing down on your lower unit. So you want to be off of that just a little bit. And then you want to make it even on the right side of the shoe and the left side of the shoe. So as you can see, I have masked where the Permatrim is going to go. So that way when I put that Sikaflex on there, none of that black gooey adhesive is going to run up on my lower unit, and I'll have some clean lines. So I just went ahead and put this on here, made sure everything looked nice and even, and I used my C-clamp to hold it down, marked it with a pencil, marked it on the bottom as well. Marking on the Permatrim, which this side's not that important because you're not going to see it, but yeah, you know, if you're OCD, you can do the bottom as well. So once you do that, you mark out where the lower unit cavitation plate is going to be on your Permatrim, and where your Permatrim is going to be on your cavitation plate with masking tape. You can go ahead and mask that all up. You've marked out with your pencil, mask up your lines. Then your next step is going to be I like to sand it down a little bit. So I'm just going to use a little bit of 220. I'm just going to give it a light scuffing on the lower unit. So I'll just kind of scuff this up just a little bit. I don't need to go anything too crazy, just to give it a little bit more grip when I put that Sikaflex down, kind of bite down and make sure it's adhering, because I am not using any bolts. So I want to make sure that this little Permatrim doesn't come off. Now, a lot of people might prefer using those bolts, and that's fine. The instructions are great on how to install it with the bolts. However, this is a beautiful Yamaha, very clean, and I just can't drill into this lower unit. My OCD is just not allowing it to happen. So, and then I'm gonna do the same to my Permatrim and this area, and again, just a nice little light scuff. Okay, so now that I got this scuffed up, just a nice light scuff, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a rag with some acetone and give this a good wipe down, making sure to remove any of that clear coat that I rubbed off with that 220. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down both of these surfaces. All right, so I just put some acetone on a cherry cloth. Just gonna wipe this down, making sure to get any of this dirt and debris and clear coat off of the lower unit cavitation plate. Okay, so now that I wiped it off and got the bulk off, I'm going to do one more wipe down with a clean rag. And now you can see there's no debris on my rag, which means the surface is completely clear of any contaminants. I'm gonna do the same exact thing that I just did to that lower unit cavitation plate to my Permatrim. And you can see when I wiped the Permatrim, it still had some contaminant. So I'm just gonna continue to do that until I no longer see any debris coming off of the cavitation, or the Permatrim, sorry. So I'm slowly starting to see less and less debris. And got everything nice and cleaned off. I'm going to use my Sikaflex 291 to just liberally apply some of this marine adhesive, and you want to make sure you do a good amount. All right, so now that we got that 291 Sikaflex on there, I'm gonna grab a little spackle and smear that out nice and smooth. Smeared nice and flat, even. Want to make sure there's no gaps. If there's any areas that you feel like you might need to fill back in, you can always add some more. It's never too late to add some of this before you put it down, but you want to make sure there's plenty of this marine adhesive applied. And the reason why you use this over a 5200 is this material here is actually something that you could remove off this lower unit and down the line if you decided to sell it and they didn't want the Permatrim on there. So it's not something that's going to be officially permanent and adhere to the metal, or it would never come back off. So now I'm just gonna put this on. Oops. I grab my measuring tape and measure this out because that Sikaflex is kind of pushing off my lines. Should have that same gap over here, about a 1/2 inch, a little less than a 1/2 inch, good. And this should be about a 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna push this back just to here. Okay, so now that I got those C-clamps down, I even added a hitch on top of my 39 pounds of lead weight. So I have about 49 pounds roughly on top of that cavitation plate pushing down. Just making sure that Permatrim is as close as it possibly can be to the cavitation plate so that gap is smushed down. And that's really important because you want to make it as close as possible so it's not lifted up and it just gives it less room to flex. So just went ahead and put some weight on there. If you have a long C-clamp that you could actually put on the backside, that would be even better. But this is what we got, so we're gonna use what we got. So once I let this sit for about 10-15 minutes, I'm gonna go back and remove all that tape, and then I'll let this go ahead and cure for 48 hours. It says 24 hours is all you need, but if you've got 48 hours to do this, go ahead and let it go a little longer before you take it out on the water, and you should be good to go. Okay, so now that it's been about 20 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get as much of this painter's tape off as possible.
I'm getting this black Sikaflex all over.
Okay, so I got the majority of all the tape off on this top seam, and you can see how it gives it a pretty clean finish. You're just gonna see a little bit of that stuff on the edge. And then same thing over here. I was able to get all of that tape off. Got a nice clean finish. So once this cures for 48 hours, I'll take this off and we'll take a look at the results. I also did the same to the bottom, but I will say there's quite a bit still seeping out and the tape was unsuccessful at getting it all. So once this thing dries up, I'll flip this motor back up and I'll get a razor blade and just trim it up. It's gonna be like a rubber, so it'll come off a lot easier than trying to mess with it right now. So we're gonna go ahead and let this cure for 48 hours and then we'll be back to show you the results. Well, boys, it has officially been 48 hours. So I went ahead and removed the clamps, removed the weights, and it turned out fantastic. As you can see, there is a little bit that still popped out even with the tape, but that's totally fine. You kind of want to make sure that's sealed on there properly. So now I can go back and just use flat razor blade, clean off any excess glue or Sikaflex that the tape didn't help with. On the bottom, you can see there's quite a bit of excess. So I'm just gonna tilt this thing up, use a little flat razor blade to kind of shave some of this off. It actually is just like a rubber. So it's pretty easy to and it actually comes right off the paint, which is pretty awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, reviews on products and installs, and just a little bit about this Gnu and our boys with all the other Gnus, follow us at Gnu Gang all over Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We'll be posting a lot here to come. Appreciate y'all following. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.